It's time for Mornings at 8 with Jonathan Mark on AM 1480 WLEA.
Oh, well, yes, here we are. Wednesday morning, halfway through the week. It's 5 minutes after 8 o'clock. So this being Wednesday, halfway through the week, you could see the weekend peeking up over the horizon just a little teeny bit, and it will be here soon enough. You know, when I started the show, it was in January, as a matter of fact, January 4th or 5th, I don't recall. And back then, it was Fridays at 8. And then it became weekdays at 8. Or mornings at 8, right. And my goal was to find things that are entertaining and informing and kind of lighthearted and kind of eccentric and out of the ordinary. But recently, it's been really hard. It really has. Because I got up this morning, just for example, I got up this morning my usual early time, and I'm going on the net. I'm going here and there and here and there. And most of the stories you read are so negative. I mean, they are so negative. And just a little jaded this morning, I think. But I think our culture, it's going to heck in a handbasket. And it's probably the fastest handbasket you've ever seen. I mean, look at the stuff that happened over the weekend and the massive, massive fallout from that. And everybody's yelling at everybody else. And everybody's blaming everybody else. And everything and everyone. And I really don't see any concrete answers being offered to what's been going on. Our culture has become pretty violent. I mean, both in action and word. Language has become so vile, so hateful. And that, vile language, kind of translates into violence at some point. Eventually it will. And there are so many angry people out there. Like these two shooters, that's right, over the weekend. One was a screaming racist. I mean, the guy was a real nasty, evil racist. And then this gentleman in Ohio there in Dayton, this guy in Ohio, he too was just a little crazy. As I think I had that story on Monday. Things he had told his girl, or one of his girlfriends. I mean, the guy was obviously way over the top, But that's what's happening there. And there have been a lot of shootings, both mass shootings and how do you quantify tragedy? I don't know. 40 people killed here, 5 people killed there, which is worse? I mean, a killing is a killing, right? A murder is a murder. And people are, well, let's see. Let's have, well, the problem is gun control. That's what it is. As I said the other day, there are 330 million people-ish in the country right now, and about approximately 390 million firearms. So once they're in the system, how do you get them out of the system? Well, you can't, and they're there. So gun control isn't really going to be the answer to all this violence that's going on. And then you can blame hate speech. Well, it all depends on your definition of hate speech. Matter of fact, there was a story this morning where a mob gathered outside Mitch McConnell's home. And I read the story, and I said, how do I tell you about this? And this was last night, I believe. How do I tell you about I can't. There's not one word in these videos that I can repeat on the radio. Not even close. A big mob hoping to stab him and calling him this name and that name, and I hope he dies. And really, this is outside the guy's home. This is where he lives, and a mob gathers and threatens to stab him. I mean, that's crazy. Speaking of which, next point is mental health. Clearly, a lot of people right now are just a little unbalanced. I mean, really, really unbalanced. So they have that red flag law that they're talking about in Washington. A red flag law. which seems like a good idea on the face of it, sort of, maybe. But then, how would you determine who is mentally ill? Who would make that determination? I had a story, was it yesterday? Yes, that's right, yesterday, about a grandmother, and her grandson was telling her what he planned to do and shoot up a motel and then suicide by cop. And she convinced him to go to the hospital and get a little mental health. So the FBI sees a bunch of guns and all that stuff, and so she saw a sign. He told her what he planned on doing, right? So that's one. But let's say that somebody doesn't say anything. Let's say you don't have any obvious signs. Who would make the determination on who is dangerous and who is not? That could get pretty tricky. Someone who doesn't especially like you reports that you seem a little mentally unstable. And then what? Then what do you do? Yeah, how would that work? I'm not quite sure how that would work. And what would be some idle threat or a real threat? I mean, there are a lot of questions there, and I don't know exactly how that would be solved. Nonetheless, I was on the net this morning, and I figured, you know what I'm going to do? I printed out, 2 pages. This was a Drudge Report, approximately 4 o'clock this morning. Now, these news aggregate sites, and there are a bunch of them, they change every few minutes. So you don't really know if it's going to be there in 5 minutes or an hour. You have no idea because they're constantly changing, which is a good thing. But it does kind of lead to news overload. I will say that. Let me see. This was a Drudge Report around maybe 4 this morning or so. President to visit El Paso and Dayton, testing his ability to heal. And by the response he's getting even before he's there, I wonder how that's going to go. Dems shun. Debate about rhetoric. What else have we here? According to Rasmussen, President Trump right now has a 49% approval rating. So you wonder which mainstream media to believe, or which poll. I don't know. That's what it says. But underwater in critical battlegrounds. And the lead story is Republicans coalesce around gun control. Here's another one. Demand for bulletproof backpacks surging in wake of shootings. I had that the other day, too. And the story I had, the backpack would not be bulletproof, but bullet resistant. All right. Inquiries into license to carry concealed on rise. Research. Mass shootings contagious. FBI finds gunman in Dayton was obsessed with violence. I guess so. What else? There was a movie called The Hunt, and there is a trailer for it, and apparently these group of people are literally hunting other people. That does it. Thank you, Hollywood, very much. That's really nice. A gory thriller. All right, that sounds good. Republicans fear extinction in suburbs over gun control. What else? I told you about Mitch McConnell's private. I mean, that's where he lives, and these protesters gather outside. Man, what else have we here? Iran unveils new missiles. That's reassuring. Let's see. Oh, that's no good. That's no good at all. People are hunting gay people. Strike terror and LGBTQ. People are hunting gays? That's sick. How about what's going on in Hong Kong? That's bad. That's bad. Let me see. Lewinsky, remember her, Monica Lewinsky, is producing Impeachment. It's a drama. It's going to be on some station on TV. Impeachment, all right? Ryan Murphy courts controversy. 2020 vision. Sanders, Warren gain on Biden. 7 candidates don't have a single supporter. That can't be too good. Palin wins appeal reviving defamation suit against the New York Times. Barney's in New York goes bankrupt. That's a long time old established company. Barney's goes bankrupt. And this was from the UK. 89% of young people, and I mean like Gen Zs, like really young people, 89% of young people feel their lives are meaningless. 89%, that's almost 9 out of 10, according to this poll in the UK, feel that their lives are meaningless. That doesn't sound too good either. There's just a robot tail to balance human body. Wait a minute. Yes, robot tail to balance human body and stop from falling over. Well, that would save you the trouble of keeping your balance, I guess. Okay, well, that's just a few from the Drudge Report. Here in New York, the Empire Report. Shootings on the rise in New York City. New York Police Chief fires back at Cuomo over water dousing incidents. Now, as you heard, these people have been throwing water and yelling and screaming and cursing at these cops. And the NYPD, they're experiencing just a little bit of criticism there. Let me see. There was a story about which I had yesterday, about the front page on the New York Times, and the Democrats made him change the headline, which, of course, the Times says, no, it wasn't that. All right, fine. What else? Oh, de Blasio, as Brian had in his news, de Blasio is the least popular politician in New York, according to a poll. Presidential wannabe Mayor Bill de Blasio has the dubious distinction of being the single most unpopular politician in the entirety of New York State, a stunning new survey reveals. The statewide Siena College poll shows a paltry 26% of voters have a favorable view of de Blasio, compared to a staggering 57% who don't. So another 17 are undecided there. That's a negative rating of 31 points. By comparison, 35% of voters have a favorable view of Trump, while 62% have an unfavorable view, with the remaining 3% undecided. I don't think you could be undecided on anything anymore. I mean, you know either one way or the other. But anyway, so 3 in 4 Republicans like Trump in New York State, but most everyone else does not. Trump continues to be viewed overwhelmingly negatively by his fellow New Yorkers, with the exception of Republicans, nearly 3/4 of whom continue to view him favorably and give him a positive job performance rating, said the pollster, Stephen Greenberg. So that's got to be really, embarrassing for de Blasio. I mean, in his own state, more people like Trump than de Blasio. That's amazing. And the survey polled, 810 registered voters from July 28th to August 1st, and has a 4.1% margin of error. So that's what's going on there. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Now, Brian had a story about, was it in Portville? Yeah, I think it was in Portville. Some guy takes a shot out his window with a bow and arrow at a woodchuck. I don't think that's really too awfully smart, okay? So instead of hitting the woodchuck, he hits his neighbor's house. And a lawsuit, I can see that lawsuit. I think the woodchuck got away, well, probably, I guess. What else was good here? Is there anything else good? Yes, this is very good. This was a bill that was championed by former State Senator Cathy Young, who got a very, very raw deal, as we all know. But this one was championed by her, and it was passed, and now it's been signed. A bill that will create a statewide program meant to crack down on scofflaws who pass stop school buses was signed into law on Tuesday yesterday by Governor Cuomo. The measure would enable school districts to install mounted cameras on the arms of school bus stop signs to photograph motorists who pass buses when letting kids off and on. And the governor had a statement that this is, good for our kids and holding reckless drivers accountable and all that. So I guess between this and the bullet-resistant backpacks, everybody will feel nice and safe. And this is kind of interesting. In a single day of enforcement, in April of 2018, last year, law enforcement officials ticketed more than 850 people for passing a stopped school bus. 850 people in one day. It's estimated that 150,000 drivers pass school buses in a 180-day school year. 150,000 people pass a stopped school bus in a school year. So I think that is a very, very good, really good law. That is definitely good news out of Albany. And as I said, we can primarily thank former State Senator Cathy Young. What else have we here? Sometimes divorces get just a little messy. How about this one? Judge tells divorcing Queens man to quit harassing ex after more than 5,000 texts and emails. How many texts and emails to your ex is too many? Well, this judge says 5,026. A divorce judge has ruled that Queen's dad, Daniel Meredith, fired off far too many messages when he sent that number to his estranged wife in the span of a year, calling it harassment. This has to stop, said Queen's Supreme Court Justice Margaret Parisi McGowan, she said in June, before threatening to toss him in jail if he continued to blow up his ex's phone. This is beyond a normal communication. The judge slapped Meredith with a temporary order of protection, declaring the 14 per day average to his wife Donna out of proportion and placing him on a strict diet of one text a day, while allowing him to speak to his kids via FaceTime once a night between 6:15 and 6:30. That's 15 minutes. But Meredith, a 40-year-old artist for an architectural firm, protested in court documents that nearly all of the past year's back and forths were about the couple's 3 toddler-age kids, their family car, and their apartment in Sunnyside. Now, the dad, who's been locked in a divorce battle with his 35-year-old marketing wife since January, says he can't communicate with their nanny or daycare and is fighting to stop the judge from making the limits permanent, court documents show. So his defense, what did he say here? He says, according to internet research and articles I found online, the average American sends and receives, get this, 94 text messages per day. 95. How do you find time to do anything else? Anyway, he says his research, sends and receives 94 text messages per day, and the average American between the ages of 35 and 44 sends and receives 52 text messages a day. And that's what he said, and that's his defense. So really, all those texts really weren't excessive. I don't know about that. Boy, they sure can get messy. That is what I have heard. Oh, let me see. Oh, okay. Are you looking for something a little unusual? Maybe, some people have a yacht, or some people have, a private helicopter or something. Well, you can actually buy your own extinct volcano in Devon, England. Now, the problem with that is, okay, you buy a volcano, and then where do you put it? Not going to fit in your attic. There's too much stuff. Not going to fit in your garage. There's too much stuff there. Probably won't fit in your backyard, and wherever you live might be zoned against volcanoes. But this volcano stays in Devon, England, and you can have it for a mere $60,000. And it's actually, further on to the story, a lot of people own volcanoes. I am not making this up. This is from Mental Floss. People can buy a private island, so why not buy a private volcano? Posbury Clump, there's a name for you, Posbury Clump, a 250 million-year-old inactive volcano located in Devon, England, could be yours for the seemingly reasonable price of about $60,000. The volcano is 500 feet tall. It's surrounded by 5 acres of woodland, so you get a sweeping view of the English countryside. The wooded outcrop and rolling hills make Posbury Clump look less like a volcano and more like a forest. Now, let me see, what else? Currently, only a few houses reside in the area, but Posbury settled during the Iron Age between 800 BC and 100 AD, once housed Convent Posbury St. Francis, which was part of the Posbury Clump estate. So whoever owns that, it doesn't say, okay, $60,000. If you want to purchase this volcano, you contact agent, what's his name? Jackson Stops, except it doesn't have his address. So anyway, you can purchase your very own volcano for $60,000, and wouldn't that be ever so cool? Now, other people own volcanoes too. According to Atlas Obscura, Robert Ripley tried to purchase a volcano, where was that? In New Mexico in 1943, but he was beaten to the punch by muralist Gerardo Murillo. So anyway, several individuals have privately owned volcanoes in New Zealand, and a couple of people own privately owned volcanoes in California and Oregon. So you wouldn't be the first, but you'll probably be the first on your block. Okay, insurance. If you own a volcano, boy, are you going to need insurance. The Ryan Agency, you can do no better. They have offices in Hornell, Jasper, and Wellsville. They're local, they're independent, They're your own personal insurance shopper. They're insurance experts. They offer sound, unbiased advice. They're friendly. They're local. They have a great website called, that's right, RyanAgency.com, the Ryan Agencies.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In Major League Baseball games of note, the A's clubbed the Cubs and started John Lester for an 11-4 win. Chicago's lead in the NL Central still at 2.5 games on St. Louis, with the Cardinals losing to the Dodgers and Clayton Kershaw 3-1. 10 innings for the Rays to walk off with a 7-6 win over the Blue Jays. Tampa Bay rallied down 6-0. They win it with a walk-off wild pitch. Nationals over the Giants 5-3. Washington moves one game up on Philadelphia for the first wild card spot in the National League. Phillies fall to the Diamondbacks 8-4. Philadelphia's a half game up on St. Louis for the second wild card spot in the NL. Brewers beat the Pirates 4-3. Milwaukee's a game out of a wildcard spot in the National League. Mets shut out the Marlins 5-0. New York's won 12 of 13. They're a game and a half out of a wildcard spot in the NL. And the Astros beat the Rockies 11-6. Houston's Zach Greinke in his debut with the team gets his 11th win of the year, but he allowed 5 runs on 7 hits in 6 innings of work. Battle of division leaders, the Braves beat the Twins 12-7. Freddie Freeman and Ronald Acuna Jr. each hit their 28th home runs of the year.
From the Fox Business Network, Walt Disney Company surprised Wall Street with a disappointing quarter. Though its movie Avengers Endgame was a huge hit, X-Men Dark Phoenix, part of its newly merged Fox unit, was a flop. CEO Robert Iger says the X-Men franchise is now under its successful Marvel Studios unit. Disney also revealed plans for a Disney Plus streaming bundle, including Disney, ESPN, and Hulu for $12.99 a month. Disney Plus alone will cost $6.99 when it launches in November. Walgreens is closing approximately 200 stores in the U.S., a small percentage of its nearly 9,600 U.S. locations. Stocks recovered some of this week's losses yesterday after China's currency stabilized. The Dow was up 311, NASDAQ added 107, S&P up 37. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
Summer is here, and Matt's got the barbecue out all ready to grill. That's why he trusts Super Polygrip, so he can enjoy his steak with full confidence.
Polygrip.
Sounds like there's a party going on. But something's missing. The birthday gal's arrived. And thanks to Polydent, her bright smile is anything but a surprise.
Polydent.
Today at Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads and Hornell, New York, you'll find brand new 2019 Nissan all-wheel drive Rogue SV models equipped with heated power seat, 17-inch alloys, remote start, and motion-activated liftgate for only $23,999. Shop Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads or Hornell. Simmons-Rockwell.com.
And here we are. Let me say, according to a survey conducted in England, in the UK, a survey of 2,000 British adults found that, oddly enough, 4 out of 10 people regret how they lived their lives so far. Wow. It gets better. It's okay. Spending too much time at work and not traveling enough were among the respondents' biggest regrets. Other common regrets among those surveyed included neglecting their health and not spending enough time with their family. Many wish that they had been a better parent to their children. All of that regret seems to be a big motivator as well, with 40% of respondents claiming that they want to make some positive changes in the near future. That's pretty good news, too. And while the survey's findings are a bit bleak at first consideration, many believe all hope is not lost. That's good. More than half of respondents say that they know it's not too late for them to change paths and accomplish more in life. Inaction seems to be the biggest cause of regret, with 3 in 4 adults claiming that their regret is mainly caused by things they wanted to do but never got around to. I think everybody knows that. You know, if you think of your life, I think things you've done, okay, maybe that was a dumb move. Okay, that was a dumb move. But really, the things you wanted to do and never got around to doing. You know, I think that's probably it. So the idea is, if you want to do something, go out and do it. Really, if you want to climb a mountain or take up skydiving or take up water skiing or whatever, go and do it. Why waste time, and then why regret not doing it later, right? Okay. Okay, that's it. I will see you tomorrow at 8:05. I'll try to be more cheerful. Bye.